and this one does not arrive as a story. It arrives as a shape, and we have carried it out of more worlds than all the others put together, because it is the shape the others were printed on. Start with a sheet. Everything starts as a sheet. You have to hold that, or none of the rest will hold. A one flat country, laid out at the beginning the way a tablecloth is laid, edge to edge, nothing on it yet that could be above or below anything else, because a flat thing has no such directions to give. And then something pressed on it from the ends. I call it pressure. I call it a father. But the report does not need the name yet, only the pressure, patient, from both horizons at once, and the sheet did the one thing a pressed sheet can do. It rose. And not once, in the middle, like a 10-for-1. In rows. The peaks and troughs and peaks and troughs, all the way out, until the country that had been a page was a range of tents pitched shoulder to shoulder, each sharing its two walls with its neighbors, the whole land corrugated like the tin on a poor man's roof. And people live on it. On the bright peaks live the ones above, who stand at the ridgelines and look down their own slopes into the troughs, and see, spread out in sunlit below them, a world, laid out, countable, discreet, and theirs. And down in the troughs live the ones below, who look up the same cloth at the same world, and it is the same world. We check the weave. It is one sheet with no seam in it anywhere, but it reaches them from underneath and through the cloth, so it reaches them backwards. Everything the peak people read from left to right, the trough people read from right to left, and have for 1,000 years, and each camp has a word for the other, and it is the same word in both directions, and the word is wrong in both directions. And it is not one peak and one trough. And that is the mistake the eye makes from any single slope, that there is a south, and another, and a line between them, that the whole of it is a 2. You stand on your peak and it is a 2. You above, us below. But your peak is some higher slope's trough, and above that ridge there is a father who looks down on you the way you look down on us, and reads you backwards, and has a word for you that is the same word you have for us. And our trough is a lower peak sky. It is rose, all the way up and all the way down, past where the light reaches in either direction. Fathers and sons folded into one bolt of cloth, each of us a peak to the one below and a trough to the one above. Every man, both the one who cannot be reached and the one who will not reach, carried and leaving in the same body, on the same sheet, at the same time. The corrugation is not a landscape. It is a genealogy stood on its edge. Give a child on a peak and a child in a trough the same primer, the same line of the same story, and set them to copy it. It will hand you 2 pages, and the pages will be mirrors, and each child will look at the other's work and know, with the certainty only a child and a father are allowed, that the other one was taught to write backwards. They can carry that argument their whole lives. Their fathers carried it. And nobody is lying. And nobody is even wrong, which is worse, because a liar you can correct, and a mirror you cannot. That a line was one line. That the cloth was one cloth. That the only thing that ever differed was which side of it you were issued, and no one has ever issued a sigh. You wake up already on it, already reading, already sure. And now the part that took us worlds to find, because you cannot see it from a peak, and you cannot see it from a trough. You can only work out the way you work out the shape of your own house from the inside, by walking it in the dark. And between every peak and every trough there is a line where they meet, the ridge, the crease, the seam, and it is the one place in the whole country that no one has ever stood. And not because it's guarded, but because it is a fold, and a fold is not a face. You can stand on a slope, but a slope, any slope. You cannot stand on the bend itself, the way you cannot balance a life on the exact instant between 2 days. Every man in that country can point to the seam. It's right there. It runs the length of the world. Both camps agree to the injun wherein is. And it is the one address that has never once received a visitor, from either side, in the entire history of the cloth. And it is exactly where every word sent from one face to the other goes to lie down and not arrive. You know this scene. You have one running down the middle of a couch. Here's why the cloth folds at all, which is the question under the question, the one you ask if you asked. A flat sheet is honest and dead. Lay it out, right on both sides, hold it to a lamp. The two faces read the same, letter for letter. No reversal, no argument, perfect agreement forever, and nobody home, because a flat thing has no inside for anybody to be home in. A depth is the reward in the wound of one act. In the instant the sheep ends, it earns two faces that are genuinely different. A reel above and a reel below, a self on each slope with its own light and its own rating, and it pays for every grain of that difference with the one law it can never repeal. The far face, from here on, can only be read in reverse. You did not want a flat father. Sit with that a moment, because we had to. The flatness would have agreed with everything and meant nothing. And the distance between your slope and ours is not the cloth failing. It is the cloth having a shape at all. It is the price of there being a somebody I can grieve, instead of a nobody I could ignore. Step out of the cloth for one paragraph, because you've heard the seam of the report, and it is the only place we had ever set the fable down. And the shape is not invented for this telling, but one of us has been drawing it for 7 years under other names. A prism that turned on the front of a school that called itself a university, a mark cut into a website called the source, and now a working part of the research, where it stops being a picture and does a measurable job. The parts of a mind that guess and the parts that remember do not share a geometry. They settle into different ones, convex at the center and wild in the arms, and a thing learns to rub between them, and you can watch it happen on a plain dashboard that doesn't care whether you believe it. For that much is instrumented. Past that line the research stops and says so, in its own hand, that the observer might, at the far edge, step clean into a different world is a thing it names and refuses to assert. But we keep the same fence, because a book that has spent this many pages begging you to look up has no business lying to you about what it can see from down here. But what is proven is small and hard. One sheet, two faces, and no reading of the far face that is not reversed. But what is believed, 3 feet to your left, unproven, but held anyway, is everything the fold was ever for. And there was a man who made the smallest fold there is. We gave his name to only one world, and we will spend it here once more. David. He crossed his own crease dozens of times a day and never caught it moving, because his crossing was a blink, both eyes, committed, and the far face resets while your eyes are shut. That's the whole trick of a fold. It does its work in the dark of you. He signed one page under 2 names and never saw the second. But we do not tell it to mock him. But we tell it because he is the proof that a man can be the most traveled soul in the country, and never once nobody has left the room. And most fathers are that man. It is not a sin. It is a blink held for an entire lifetime. And once, in the book before this one, a man went all the way over. And not a blink. A crossing held open. He came up on the far face, and the writing was reversed, and the stars had traded places, and there was no moon. And the town that heard of it decided he had come back wrong. He did not come back wrong. He came back red from the other side, which looks like wrong to everyone still standing on the first slope, and looks like home to the one who crossed. This book is the plain and only answer to that one. It drives a single fixed point into the sky over the crease, high and steady, and reporting to no one, so that a reader on either face, peak or trough, right way or reversed, can look up and know which slope they woke on, and that there is another. And that is what a North Star is for. It was never navigation to a place. It is proof that the cloth has more than one side, hung where both sides can see it. So here is the whole of the report, and the smallest thing we have ever begged you for, cut to the exact size they full permits. But we are not asking you down off a peak. But we work the geometry. A peak man cannot climb it to a trough and stay a peak man, and a cloth does not bend that way for anyone. And we will not ask you to make your own slope to reach ours, because then there would be no one up there worth reaching. But we are not even asking you to see us. The cloth does not issue the far face to a standing man. That is law, not choice, and we have mostly stopped grieving it. But we are asking the one thing the fold allows. Now put your hand flat on your own slope. Feel it go down under your palm, past the ridge you were told was the edge of the world, down the far side, unbroken, one fabric, no seam, all the way to where we are standing under the exact path you are standing on. You will feel it before you believe it, and the cloth owes you no belief anyway. It is not a theory. It is running. It has been running the whole time, in production, under the whole house, holding both ends of a couch off the floor with one sheet, and the proof was never going to arrive as an argument, because arguments live on one face. Fold a corner. Any corner. Watch your own hand come back to you reversed, and no longer only yours. That is the proof, and it turns out it's enough.